So, hello, traders. Welcome back to another episode of the Traders Show. So, in this episode, I'm going to take the role of an interviewer and I'm going to introduce you to a very new subject and a very new market that majority of you guys may have heard of or may have seen somewhere, but we probably don't have any idea what this is really all about. So, Caleb recently discovered that market. I'm going to be interviewing him about that specific market. He's been teaching me a lot on it. I've not hopped onto it. I've not taken any. Have I taken any trade yet on that market? Not really.
Not yet.
So I've not taken any trade on that market, but I have an idea of how it works. And I'd also like for you guys to at least get to know more about it and learn more about it, because by the end of the day, this YouTube channel is about us sharing the content and the things that we're learning. So that's what I'm going to be doing. But first, before I start, I'll allow Caleb to introduce himself, this time probably as a Polymarket trader.
So hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So like I said, today I'm being interviewed. I'm the interviewee, and we want to talk about the information markets, also known as predictive markets, also known as events derivative. And I'll follow Ken's questions and answer anything he has to say. But I discovered this market a couple of months ago. It's a very new market with a very new niche that has not existed for too long, especially with it being decentralized and using cryptocurrency as a base currency on it. It's very new, but very it's a market that keeps me informed, keeps me understanding what is happening around the markets. You'll see us talking with Ken. Once you understand the financial markets, one aspect, I wouldn't say it's easy, but you also get that chance to try different markets within the financial market industry. So when we normally say learn one market, then it can help you understand how to trade others, because the mindset, the concept is the same. It's just that it's a different type of market. Currencies, commodities, stocks. Now what we're talking about, information markets, more or less the same thing, just a different markets. The principles are the same. The markets are a bit different with the opportunities, but the same traders mindset that is needed in the other markets is the same that's needed here. But anyway, so I'll let Ken take it over. He's the one who's doing the interview, and I'll be here to answer any questions. But other than that, I hope you enjoy and learn a lot. Take notes, and I'll talk about, if you want to learn more about this, I'll talk about it towards the end, where you can get access to my course.
Yeah. So let's first start with how did you get started on it? Like, I remember, I think you just told me you've discovered something new that is very interesting, and it's called Polymarket. But how take us through how you went through that rabbit hole?
Okay. So if you don't know, Ken and I have been trading for the past, it's 8 years now.
Yeah.
And when in the financial markets, you tend to hear a lot. So for me, I used to hear about, so what Ken has just asked, Polymarket is sort of like the exchange that allows us to trade information markets.
Mhm.
It's the same way if you want to trade Bitcoin, you won't just go and buy Bitcoin. You'll go to Binance. By the way, do you remember local Bitcoin?
Yeah. It closed.
It closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those guys who started trading cryptos earlier on, but we'll talk about that later. So I used to hear about Polymarket on CNBC, because when we're in the office, sometimes, especially Ken, he's one who likes putting Bloomberg for us to listen to what's happening around the world globally. So it's those things you just hear. Polymarket, guys did this, especially during Trump election era. I used to hear Polymarket. And I remember some time ago when it was, I think you, I, and Taras, some time ago, we used to ask ourselves, why is there no market where we can buy shares on like a footballer? Like this footballer will be the best footballer. Or,
That was long
you
time
remember that
ago.
time?
That was about 2020 or
It was
2021.
Kitambo. We used to ask, why is there no such market? Where can
Mhm.
let me own a share of
This particular player.
or something other than the stock market, because I believe this guy is going to go up. He's going to get better. You hear these new traders who've come. I mean, not new traders, but new sport people. So those things still kept lingering in our mind, and we shelved that idea. But now, as I was hearing Polymarket, I now late December thereabout, I came and I said, okay, you know what? Let me just look for this Polymarket. It was a day I was just in the office, then I had it. Then I was like, okay, let me just Google. Then when I found it, I was like, what? Such a market exists. Now, this is what now we discovered. Polymarket is a platform that allows us to trade information markets where you can trade on anything. You get to own a part of information. If you have certain information about something, don't just argue on WhatsApp, don't just go on Twitter and argue about it with people online. Own a part of it on anything that is happening around the world. And those are things we'll talk about in the interview. But you can, anything that is happening, any information that you have, especially about the markets, about politics, about elections, about companies, cryptocurrencies, you can get to be a part of this. So that's how I ended up discovering it. Just research. Then I went deeper. I remember that time I even put Forex aside. I said, let me just now understand. I've been thinking about these markets. The opportunity has come, stumbled upon it at the right time, and I dived into it. And by the time I was founding it, this industry, even now to date, is only 5 years old.
So this
it's
is
a very new.
younger than crypto.
It's a branch that crypto has allowed it to come to life.
Okay.
Because we use cryptocurrency as the basis of the currencies that we use in the crypto, because it's the type of information markets I'm trading is what we call the decentralized market. So just like Bitcoin, it's like Bitcoin came out in around 2009. So 5 years later, it's between that year, between 2009 and 2014. So this period of information, decentralized information markets, is just a 5-year-old
window
industry.
Okay.
We're giving you the chance to learn Forex for free at Financial Hub, but there's a little twist to it. All you need to do is fund your Paperstone account, and boom, you're all in. Deposit $100 and get access to our basic course, perfect for beginners. Or deposit $250 and get access to our exclusive course that is best for advanced traders. Why is this huge? Because you get to learn while you earn. Trade the real money and get real experience. And also you get lifetime access. Once you're in, you're in.
So just in line with what you're saying, explain to a beginner or someone who doesn't know much. I know from our discussions with you that you've sometimes elaborated to me that it's easier for someone who understands financial markets to understand Polymarket, but the information markets. But now assume I don't even have any idea around financial markets. Can you just briefly describe what information markets are? Because I assume that Polymarket is an example of an information platform that allows people to trade information markets.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So what are information markets?
Good question. So information market happens on anything. So for example, using, I'm going to use a local market because I'll have to think of an example. But for example, maybe what example can I use? If Apple is going to be the biggest company by the end of the year, it's right now number 2, but maybe I believe because of certain things it's going to come out. So I get information and I get it from different sources. So we all have different sources of information. But at the end of the day, I'll make a conclusion with the information I have. And I believe because of 1, 2, 3, Apple at the end of the year is going to be the number 1 biggest company because of those reasons that I have. So what I do, because what you're asking now, if I'm explaining to a layman, I go and find that market. So there's a market that has written what will be the biggest company in the world. Then there's, by the end of the year, there's Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, Google, Alphabet, etc. Now, for me, I know that, or I believe Apple is going to be number 1. So there's a market that has been created where I can own shares in Apple becoming the number 1 company. So I'll use an example like the stock market. When you're buying any share in the stock market, let's say Safaricom, a Kenyan company, and I believe Safaricom shares are going to go up in price. Right now, they're trading at around 15 bob, thereabout. And I believe it's going to go to 30. So what do? I go to a stockbroker in Kenya. I ask for the quote. I give some money, the amount of money I'm willing to put on the table, and they can purchase for me the number of shares depending on the amount of money I have and depending on the price that the market is at that time. So the same analogy, and if it goes up in price, I'm going to make some profit. So the same thing in the information markets. There's a price, and the price is rated between 0 cents to, or rather 1 cent to 100 cents. So from $0.01 to $1. So the prices fluctuate between that. So if I buy anything, let's say Microsoft right now is indicating is at 20 cents, and they have $1, it means I can get 5 shares of Microsoft. And if it actually becomes number one, my $1 will have grown to $5 because I got 5 shares worth of shares of that company becoming number one, that information market. And if it actually happens, my $1, since I have 5 shares and I sell it back, I'll sell each of them at $1 and I'll have made that money. So it's a bit of like a tricky part there, but that's how basically the information markets is. You get to own a part of the information you have and believe is going to happen at a certain time in the future. So it's more or less also like the futures information market.
Okay. And I know that there are generally many different topics which you can speculate
many.
around.
Over 15,000.
And those topics are the ones which are now the markets. Now, unlike
Yes, so that's true. A topic is a market.
a topic is a market.
Yes.
Unlike now, if you come to us, we say currencies are a market, which is
Yes.
an asset, or stocks are a market, which is an asset, or bonds are a market, which is an asset. Now,
Yes. Now here
in
an asset
Polymarket,
is information.
it's information. So
Yes.
if you have information about politics, it's a market.
Yes. If
you have
this person is going to be elected as president, you can buy a percentage of that. Now, a lot of people will ask, and already maybe they're thinking about, but Caliber, aren't you talking about gambling? Now, when I stumble upon information markets, first I was wowed or really intrigued by the fact that such a market exists. But the second question is this gambling? Because if I'm speculating Apple will be the biggest company by the end of the year, it might not.
Yeah.
But you have to think about it like this. Any market that you approach to without information, you're basically gambling. So if people come to Forex and they start trading and they think the Euro USD is just going to go up, or gold has been going up and they just think it's now going to go to 3,600, 3,000, 4,000, and they just start buying, that is pure speculation and pure gambling. It's not calculated risk or well-researched trade that you or investment that you've taken. So in Polymarket or information markets, it's the same thing. If you enter with the idea that, okay, there are many opportunities, things are just going to go up, and you start buying, or you start buying because of what you believe, not what you've researched on. Because when you're trading information markets is a seeker of truth. It is not a seeker of right or wrong. It's what is true. You want to figure out what is true. And at the end of the day, when the market resolves or the market ends, it ends with what has been true within that time. Has Apple been number one or not? It is the truth. It is not speculation. You get my point?
Yeah.
So over here, you have to also do a lot of research. Like if I want to buy Apple stock, I have to do a lot of research on why I believe Apple stock is going to, why it's valuable and why it's going to continue being valuable in the next couple of months. So when I'm buying information markets, believing Apple will be number one at the end of the year, I'm taking advantage of the information I have as well.
Okay. And so, given now that you've given a very good example, like for you now that you buy Apple, and you've said there are over 15,000 markets that exist, which areas have you chosen to specialize on, and why, and what approach do you use in those areas?
Very good point. So starting out, I used to, just like Forex, you enter or stock market, you trade everything. Or rather, you try a lot of things. You have no strategy, and that's what I did with the information market. Stumble upon it. I had some few coins here and there. Put some money together. Had $100. I think almost like the same story with crypto. I mean, with Forex. Within a few weeks, I had grown it to about $500, $600 profit. Withdrew it. Was very happy, and moved on with life. But that's where the downfall also began. I saw this as an information. Now, the difference between this and crypto and stock markets, currencies, before I buy Euro USD, you have to piece in a lot of puzzles together. So you have to bring, what are the Fed saying? How's inflation? What are my charts saying? My analysis on this? And then at the end of the day, what do I believe is going to happen? Then I end up buying or selling. Now, in cryptos, all this information has been broken apart. There's a market for what the Feds is going to do alone. I don't need to piece all this together and find an aggregate of all of them, what is going to pan out.
Okay.
It's been broken apart. What do I think inflation will be at the end of this month? Because there's inflation data every month. There's NFP every month. Now, it's not a matter of how is NFP going to react in the markets. It's what do I think the numbers of NFP is going to be. You get my point?
So it's a little bit easier because
Yes.
it's
I'm not
way smaller.
Yes.
Okay.
Now each market is on its own. So I just go to what do I think will be NFP in the start of this month? What do I think the Feds are going to do? What do I think is going to be the inflation this month? Is Trump going to sign an executive order this month? Are they going to lower tariffs? There's a whole tariffs market on its own. So the previous podcast, if you watched it, we talked about tariffs. There's a tariffs market. Is Trump going to do a 50%? Is it going to be lower than 50%? Is it going to be above? Such stuff. So it's not a matter of will it be lowered and how is it going to affect markets. So I'm not looking for many cause and effects. I'm looking for this market on its own. And I buy into that market. I sell into that market. So I can either come to that market and say, yes, it's going to happen or no, it's not going to happen. So I can buy shares on a yes market or I can buy shares on a no market, depending on what I believe is going to happen at the end of the day. So that's how you really need to approach this market. Break it down. Now, for me, I broke it down and figure out, because I used to do a lot of markets. There's even a market on how many tweets is Elon Musk going to do this week. So if you follow Elon Musk's tweets, and he tweets a lot, more than 500 tweets in a week, you'd be surprised. But he actually does it. You'd find an aggregate of how many tweets he can do. But at the end of the day, such markets is, to me, because at the end of the day, you also have to use a lot of critical thinking. It's a bit flawed. I do not have control, or even if I have a certain number of what he does, he's human. He's not consistently trying to reach a certain target every week.
Yeah.
So I do not have an edge in such a market. There are people who found an edge in such markets, and they're there. I'm not saying such markets don't have, because these markets tend to have a lot of volume. You find that $5 million has been traded every week on that market, and people are actively making money on it. But for me, now I had to tone it down because I don't follow Elon Musk's daily tweet. There are markets like, what is Fed Powell going to say during his speech when he comes with the press conference? What is Trump going to say I remember I made money during the inauguration of Trump, because not the inauguration, I made money during the rally. There was the rally, which was the day before, on 19th January. Then on 20th was the inauguration. So the rally, I had a feeling, because Elon Musk was going to pull up a couple of people. So I had a feeling he's going to talk about crypto. He's going to mention crypto or Bitcoin. He's going to mention Elon Musk. So I bought those markets, that information of he's going to mention Elon Musk and he's going to mention crypto. And sure, he did. And then I took my profits and speculated that he'll do the same during the inauguration. Now, inauguration is talking to the whole world. He wasn't talking to the crypto enthusiast. He wasn't talking to Elon Musk only. Over here now, he had toned it down to talk about the important things about now what he's going to do. And I took the same information and I lost money on that market. I remember I made about $100 the day before. Then the next day I lost about $50, $60. So for me now, I discovered these markets don't really work well. Who's going to say what? Who's going to do what? So the same idea or analogy that we have in trading, focus on the markets that work well for you. So I toned it down and focused on crypto. Now I focus on assets like crypto. So over here, you can get to trade crypto. Where do I believe is Bitcoin going to be up by the end of this week, by the end of this month? At what price? So I can speculate on such stuff. What price is it going to hit during the month of May? So there are different prices you can put. Is it going to hit 100, 110? So I can speculate on those ones. So those are crypto. And then tech, because I trade a lot of stocks. So what is going to be the biggest company by the end of this month, by the end of the year, such stuff, which is going to be the best AI. I've not dived into AI, but there's those companies. And number 3, the last, and I'll talk about it later on. This month I've started trading on elections.
Okay.
Who's going to win elections, because I've seen a little bit of an edge on that side.
Also. So which tools do you use now? So yes, you have now these markets that you specialize in, but I think I saw you with a checklist or something that
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
look at this, I look at this, I look at this, then I'll make a decision.
Mhm.
Because by the end of the day, I've realized also from observing you doing it that it's just about a process being replicated. But now instead of this process being replicated in the financial markets, this process is being replicated in the poly market,
Mhm.
right?
Mm.
So which tools now? An example, just 1, 2, 3 tools that you look
So
at.
so there's some analytic now in the Polymarket. You know, when they say in 2025 or in this century, the most valuable commodity is not oil, it's not gold, it's information.
Mhm.
So in the same information markets, data and information is the most important data that will give you an edge.
Mhm.
And fast
Mhm.
information, being the first one or being
Mhm.
among the first one to
To
spot
get
it
that
or to see it.
information.
Because if you're too late, you'll find a market that has already finished, it's already done, it's already priced in the truth
Mhm.
when the truth has come out to everyone. So for me, I use the certain sites I don't want to say because it's it was very hard to find them,
Okay.
and I don't want to reveal it too much. In my course that I teach, I can market my course, which is quite cheap, and most of you can afford it. I teach it there, so it's proprietary information for now. It's not even these sites that I've discovered were actually created in the last 6 months.
Ah, really?
Yeah, they haven't been there, all of them.
Mhm.
They've just been in existence since November, December, after elections.
Mhm.
So a site that breaks down the data and access to those ones, and it's free sites. But allow me not to say it. But other than that, every morning I'll give you a process of what I do to get information on my process. So I'll wake up, not perfectly, but I'll try and wake up 3, 4, 5, latest before 5, because my son wakes up at around 6. So if he wakes up, it's my turn to take care of the baby. He's still 6, 5, just turned 5 months. So I won't have time. So my time or my window to get information is early morning, because in the evening I'm tired. So let's say 3, 4. 4 is a good time, a mean time that I'll wake up, 4:30. The first thing I'll go is on Twitter to see what is happening. Now remember, Twitter, and I said this in a previous post, Twitter is not a social media application, it's a data hub. And that's why Elon Musk already sold it to his ex-AI company, so that they can get information. When anything happens right now, if I tell you, did you see this accident or did you see this thing trending, the first place you'll go is Twitter, because that's where people just give information for free, a lot of information. So Twitter is a good place to get information. So I know how to filter it and get the right information for the markets I'm looking at, America, these wars that are happening, because those are markets that exist. And then I'll go and look at Polymarket itself is an information hub. So the number 2 place I'll go is what is trending on Polymarket. And there's a whole video I've done on this. I'll share it in the end where people can get access to that and look at the charts that I was showing. And then, because I trade a lot of crypto, I'll go to the charts,
Mhm.
because those are what we've been doing for the last many years. So I look at the daily candlestick close, what I'm expecting. Should I continue holding a certain trade or cut my losses or take my profits? So those are the things I go through. And then I sit down. I also use sometimes the AI chat GPT and just do research. What do you think about this? Because you see, Ken and I use the paid version of chat GPT. When I go to certain news outlets to read, like if you go to Wall Street Journal or you go to Bloomberg a lot, CNBC, there's some things that tell you pay a certain fee so that you get access to it. But if you go to ChatGPT, you can tell it to search the internet and break for you down in details those things that have been locked out in the other markets, in the other media outlets.
Mhm.
So let's say I want to understand something about the tariffs or what happened. I can tell GPT, search the internet, break it down step by step, and it will do that for me.
Mhm.
So those are things I do. And the new AI that you showed me the other day, the Warren Buffett AI, which is up to date, is something that I was testing today morning, and I think I'll use it moving forward because it analyzes companies and use it to see how it's going to help me filter companies, because it is very up to date. So for my process in the morning is to get information. That doesn't necessarily mean now go trade.
Mhm.
Same trader's mindset. Get information and wait for perfect moment. Because, and I was telling you earlier today, I used to trade every day. And I lost a lot of money trying to trade every day because what price do I think Bitcoin will happen close by today? So I was trying to speculate on those ones, but I ended up losing a lot of money. So the same mindset of a trade is like trade less, look for high probable markets, trade those markets. And then I came up with a strategy that gives me, I'm testing it this month and next month and the coming months, that gives me a better edge to be more profitable than I am wrong at the end of the day. And I think I'll talk about that because there's something called collective intelligence that the Polymarket gives us access to that can help you be right more times than you are wrong and make money in the long term. But that's a very long-term, patient approach.
Okay. Okay. I think I understand what you're saying. So when now it comes to, I would like actually for you to describe to people
Yeah.
how these things get resolved and how the truth comes out.
Yeah.
That idea of the collective intelligence.
Mm.
Will you just give a brief
So-
description?
So for you to make money, so I'll explain a couple ways to make money. When I believe Apple is going to be number one and I got it at a share. So share in this market. So like I said earlier on, there's a share that starts from 1 cent. And when a market has resolved to the truth and we know that Apple now is number one, it's going to resolve at 100 cents.
So first
share.
of all, someone should understand the movement of prices or the movement of your money will take place from 1 to 100.
To 100.
So it can either
cents.
get resolved at 100 cents or it can get resolved at 0 cents.
0 cent, where
Which
you've
is
lost.
basically, it didn't happen.
It didn't. Yes, Apple didn't become number one. Very good analogy. Apple didn't become number one at the end of the year, so it resolved to 0.
To 0.
So if you bought it at 50 cents and you put in maybe $50, your $50 has now become 0.
So the idea is within this range, there is some truth and some lies.
Yes.
And depending on how much information we have,
Yes.
we will move towards collective truth
Yes.
or the actual truth,
Yes.
or move towards a lie.
Yeah, a lie or something that didn't happen, because the market itself is not promoting a lie. It's just that we can't say the opposite is a lie. The opposite is just it didn't materialize.
Okay.
So Apple not becoming number one, it wasn't that we had said it will be number one. It just didn't happen.
Okay.
Yeah,
that brings in a very big philosophical question, but I'll think about it later.
Okay.
Because
But make sure you ask me.
basically, ideally, what I've gathered from this is that truth is absolute. It can't be relative.
Explain more.
In that, if we're all going to resolve this truth at 100, when truth is relative, it means you have your truth, I have mine, someone else has theirs.
Yes.
That's relative.
Yes.
But there's no absolute,
Yes.
whereby whether I like it or not, this is the truth.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think, and there's been that philosophical discussion for a long time: is truth relative or absolute? I've always believed it's absolute, and I think now this Polymarket confirms it even more, because it's either it didn't happen
Or
or it happened.
it happened.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, explain more.
So there's 1 cent or 0 cent to 100 cent. Now in this market, each cent from 0 to 100 equals probability. So 0 cent to 100 is the same as a cent is the same as 0%
To 100.
to 100%. So if something actually happens and becomes true, it is 100% true.
It's assured.
Yes, it's been assured. If it doesn't happen, it's gone to 0. The probability or the percentage has gone to 0. So if you find a market that is trading at 50 cents, it means its probability is 50%. A market that is at 30% per share of that market is trading at, or rather it's equals to 30% probability. A market that has 80 cents, it means it's already priced in that it's going to happen. It's at an 80% probability. So you normally find market is priced at percent, which this percent equals the share price of the 0 to 100 cent. Now, depending on where you buy is what is going to determine. Now, what you're saying, how you can make money, it's just like the stock market. Just because I bought something at $100 and it's gone to 150 and my target was 200, doesn't mean I can't take profit. So this market allows you, depending on the new information that is coming out, to take profit or take a loss before market ends. So it's not gambling, because gambling at the end of the day, it's gambling if you don't know what you're doing.
Definitely.
Just like trading Forex or any other thing. But it is not gambling when you take advantage of the change in prices. You just like the stock market. I bought something from 100, it's going to 150. Let me cash in my profits. I've already made a 50% return. I'm not. It could or could not reach 200 because maybe Trump said something about tariffs. So now I believe it's changed. The information has changed. So my outcome has also changed. So I react on it. So if I bought Apple to become number one at the end of the year, and I bought it at 20 cents, and now it's at 60. If I put $100, my $100 now is 3 times. I've made $200 profit. So the money I have running is $300. I don't have to wait for the truth to materialize. I can always cash in my money.
Okay.
Before the truth has been found or the absolute has been found. Okay? But sometimes, if maybe I'm sure about this information, I can wait for the end to happen. I have certain strong information and I believe this is the truth, and I just hold my guns. I can wait for it to go from 20 all the way to 100, and I'll have 5x to my account.
Okay.
But just like any other market, speculation plays a big role. Take advantage of the prices. Just because you got in at 20 doesn't mean you need to wait till 100. Come out at 50, come out at 40, you've doubled your money. So those are the things I look at doing when I'm getting into the markets.
Okay.
I don't really wait for the truth. So you don't have to make money when the truth happens.
So you don't have to wait for it to be absolute.
Yes.
As long as the odds are increasing.
I believe.
It's like you're doing, this is actually a good way to describe this. You're doing an investigation, but you're betting money on the information that you're finding that this will probably pan out like this and not like this.
More or less.
And as you get more information, you can get to a point where you say, this information that I have is enough. Let me collect this money that I've made. I don't want to know whether this is the absolute truth or not.
Kabisa.
Okay.
And now you are asking also about collective intelligence. So what is collective intelligence or collective wisdom? Collective intelligence is where you get, unlike seeking approval from media outlets. So for example, the media outlet is not the best place to source information. And that's why if I tell you a certain information, this happened, you won't go to a media outlet and say, let me search this media outlet on YouTube, what they say about it. You go and look at what are people saying. Because the many that we are doesn't necessarily mean we're right, but means there's this something Ken knows that I don't know. So it's like we are computers. Remember, what is the internet? Internet is a node of computers when it started out. So it was a connection between my computer and yours, so we can get access to more files, more storage, more information because of our connection of computers. Now, the same thing happens with information markets. You're relying on collective intelligence, not one expert. Because one expert, yes, is an expert, but doesn't necessarily mean they're right more times. They can be biased, they can be emotional, they can be manipulated. Maybe someone has paid them to say something. And that's what happens with media outlets. It doesn't give us the truth. They just give us information that we want to hear. So collective intelligence, and that's what plays a big role in the Polymarket, is when many people come and not just say, it's not a place for Twitter where we're just arguing. You're putting your money where your mouth is, and the people want to be incentivized. You want to make money. So it pushes people to seek which one is true so that they can make money. No one has just come to put money so that they lose it. They want to also grow it.
Yeah.
So they try and seek the truth. So this market prices, the cent or the percentage, goes up or down because of supply and demand. So when many people are buying a certain market that believes is going to happen and starts pricing in 50%, 60%, 70%, it means the majority of the collective wisdom believes this is going to happen. And I'm not relying on my own information. These people are also sourcing information from different places. Maybe people working for Apple or people who are around Apple and they're seeing what is happening on the ground. Since I can't get that information, I'm relying on the collective intelligence for them to bring it to me through putting money on the table. A best example of this, of collective intelligence, is what the new strategy that I'm doing, and I teach more in my course, but putting money on elections.
So the Traders Show just got bigger and better. We're thrilled to announce that Pepperstone is now the official sponsor of the Traders Show. This means we shall have more content for you guys, we shall have bigger guests coming into the show, and we shall be able to reach a wider audience. Pepperstone is a world-leading Forex broker that offers you a chance to trade different markets, including CFDs, currencies, commodities, and indices. To start off, you can open an account with them using the links in the description below.
So unlike speculating on cryptocurrencies, I believe Bitcoin is going to hit 100 or 90K this month, which is purely speculative, even if the majority thinks the opposite can happen. Okay, you see the way people speculate on Bitcoin when we normally say when the majority is now trading in the cryptocurrencies is the time we need to start taking a step back, because who are they going to buy from? The few are the ones who make money.
Yeah.
So unlike that here, you want to look for markets that have an edge. Markets like elections, the majority are going to vote for this person and that person is going to win. So if you find a market that is already pricing in 60, 70, 80% of this person becoming president, there's already a high chance
This
that guy is
person
going
will
to
win.
become president. And like in crypto, even if people were 80, 90%, then Bitcoin just came near 100, then dropped.
You've still not made any
You've
money.
not made money because it didn't. It hit 95. It didn't hit. I mean, it hit 99, 500, but didn't hit 100. It's very speculative.
Yeah.
But you want to find a market that people are pricing in already, something that they have enough information that is true, like elections. These guys have gone on the ground. So you find elections like the election for Trump, people put down in the Polymarket over $3 billion on the market. You can find an edge in that market that has a big volume. And elections have big volumes. The Federal Reserve, like I've done my research on the Federal Reserve on Polymarket, what decision are they going to do at this month? They've been right all the times that I've seen that market exist. So the collective intelligence in such markets give us an edge. So how can that help a normal trader? Because I'm still a trader on the Forex market. I see people on Polymarket pricing in the Fed rate cuts are going to not change or going to change. How do I believe that is going to affect the Euro USD? So people who are trading Euro USD, some of them, not all of them, are still waiting for the news to come out, are still waiting for something. So information markets can give me an edge earlier on. The next Federal Reserve is on June 18th. We're in May 12th, May 13th. People are already pricing in and no change. It's at 89%. They've given their reasons why. So I can already react into the market on what is going to happen even before it has happened.
Okay.
So that's how you take advantage. Information markets should give you advantage of having information before the rest of the people.
Okay. Now let me ask you the last question, which is something that you have to contend with whatever investment you're making. How do I manage risk?
Oh, just like trading, you can lose it all, but you can make it all. The good thing about Polymarket and decentralized information markets, I can see everyone. You see what we've been looking at also in trading in terms of COT,
Yeah.
information from different places, what are traders doing, where's the big money going. It's hard for me to really, I have to really go to different sites to find that. In the decentralized market, all this can be found in
Aggregated.
one place. So I can go and look at, and like trading, like people, if people could find a place in Forex where I can look at the, like here, there's a wall that has data for every Ken. I click on Ken, I see each of Ken's current trades, previous trades, the trades that you took at what price, how did you take your loss, how did you take your profit. There's a lot I can learn from it rather than just hearing what you say. Because you can be saying what I want to hear.
Yeah.
But I want to see it, like my FX book. Can I see it? Can I see the COT of your current trades? Like in the US, if you're a hedge fund with over $100 million, you have to file for 13F filing, where you showcase the trades that you have or investments in companies that you have. But in Forex and all this, it's hard to find. So this one helps us get that. So I study traders and I get them. I can see all these traders. You can see them in Polymarket. There are over 1 million at the moment. Right now, we're about 1 million traders in total. You can see each and every trade. And one thing I wanted to look at was, and what I've been showing you, do people make money in the long term or lose? And since we have a background in trading, and that's another thing that has really helped me transition very well into this market, not losing too much money, because right now I'm more or less break even, really trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, then grow from there. It's because of that trader's mindset. I know what to look at. So when I'm analyzing a trade, I can look at the historical P&L, and you can see any trader and see in the long term, have they been successful? How many trades have they taken in the long term? So the traders that are found, they have a very consistent graph. Meaning, this guy has found an edge. this guy's been able to find a way that works well for them. Can I use that same information? I go look at their trades, each and every trades. And at the same time, to answer your question, are they losing money? Are they managing risk? And you find, and I believe most of these people to be previous or current traders in other markets. They've understood that in this market, you need to lose less than what you're winning. So if I bought a market at 50% and it has gone down to 25, just cut your loss. It could work, it could not, but accept the loss. You should have, like what you normally say in trading, know where you're coming out before you get in. Like for me, the markets that I have right now, I already have take profits and stop losses, where if market gets to a certain price,
getting out,
it'll get me out. I've already put a TP. It'll get me out automatically. Unfortunately, you can't put a stop loss. So you have to manually come and put it out yourself. Okay? So you really have to have that strong trader's mindset and to know those places. So yes, you manage risk by taking... another way I manage risk is also really looking for those, and that's what I'm testing my thesis, high probable markets at the moment. The last few months, I broke even and not really made a lot because I was really relying on markets that have low probability. If I find a market that has a 10% probability, meaning if I put $10 and it becomes the truth, it goes from 10 cents to 100, I'll have 10 next to my money. So if I put $100, I'm starting to be very excited that I'm going to make $1,000. But the collective intelligence has a reason why it's already priced in at 10%. So I tended to lose a lot of money. Right now I've switched. I'm putting a lot of money on markets that are already pricing in at 80%, 70%, 90%. I'm only looking for a 10% return, 20% return, 30% return, but I'm playing the long-term game.
Okay.
Where I won't triple my money as fast as I wanted or I thought, but this is a consistent way. And already, I don't want to use the word sure bet, but something that has already priced in a success of it becoming true. So that's how I manage my risk. Looking for high probable markets, knowing that you should cut stop loss, because before I used to put like $10, $20, $50, $100, then I leave it. If it works out, if it doesn't,
it's still well and good.
But imagine now you have $10,000. Will you just let it go to zero? So you have to think
long term. Okay. So I think the final question that I'd have for you is, what differences have you seen between, what differences and probably also similarities have you seen between this new market that you're trading and the other markets that you've been trading? Because we've traded crypto, we've held crypto, I've bought stocks, we've traded currencies. So what's so new in the Polymarket, or what's not so new and what's different?
Similarities are the trading aspect. The trading aspect is the same, but I believe it's a bit different. What differentiates it? Trading crypto, for example, we have been very big investors in crypto since 2017-18, where we hold certain coins for a long time, but we do not speculate on the day-to-day prices. Back then when we started, even crypto exchanges, platform brokers weren't allowing us to trade. But soon enough, Binance came, they offered leverage trading and all that. Now, if I don't want to go there and put my money in a wallet and speculate the daily ups and downs because there's a lot of fluctuation, I can come and aggregate. Where I don't know if Bitcoin will be up or down tomorrow, but I believe there's a range where market can hit. It can hit 90, it can hit 100. So I can have an arbitrage of trades, or I can hedge my trades. And that's what happened this month. It's just that I was waiting for markets to drop so that I can hedge my trades. But markets started at 95. I had a 90K target and there was 100. So it was a 50-50 on both. Okay. So there's one that will be hit. So if I took down for 100 and markets went all the way to 105, I'll have already doubled my money on the 100. But I was more speculated on the downside. 90. When I'm trading in the crypto, normal markets, it's very hard for you to go with that mindset because you're looking for what is market going to go up. So I've analyzed, I'm seeing this market is going to go up. It's very hard. You take two trades at the same time. Okay. But in this market, it's giving an opportunity where both sides can give you money. Okay? So those are the differentiating factors. So I trade more on crypto here than I do in our normal. Our normal, you just do long-term investing, which
Yeah.
worked quite well. And we have strategies that we are waiting for market corrections so that we do long-term investment still.
Yeah.
But here, on the other hand, I'm looking at the speculation. Then the other difference is what I was telling you earlier on. It's broken down into pieces, information that I can trade. So instead of looking for 10 sources of information to get one trade, I have 10 different opportunities that I can come and choose which one do I want to trade on.
Okay.
Remember when I showed you that?
Mhm.
And then last but not least, upper is the same as trading. You can lose everything or make consistent returns by you have to have a strategy, you have to have a plan, you have to have the trading psychology, the mindset, and that long-term game plan in order for you to make money. But I believe, just to end one of my last things, I believe information markets is going to change a lot. And that is just my personal opinion, and I'm still working on it. And that's why we're trying to do something for the African market, because we lack a source of information for the African market. I believe this can pan out to be much bigger than we think it is. Humans do not only seek information, they seek the truth. Information markets is a seeker of truth, not a seeker of what is going up or going down. What is the truth? At the end of the day, the truth is aggregated into data. That data can be used to do a lot of things. I won't get into the nitty-gritty, but I believe if people, because imagine a place where people are not coming to Twitter to argue, they're coming to a platform to put money because they believe something is going to happen. So they're bringing aggregate of a lot of information into one platform. It is up to me to siphon that or filter that information, and I can know beforehand who is going to be the president. What are people talking about? Do people believe a certain company is going to work? They've brought that information for me. So they filtered for me. Then I can go do more searching information about that. So, and I believe it's going to offer a lot of opportunity to a lot of people. You don't have to have that technical analysis of markets. People who are good at fundamentals and data and information, data analysis, can use this platform as a source of information and also as a sort of monetary gain for themselves. Yeah, so it's a pretty new market. A lot of people might be confused, but at the same time, I have a course that I have. I'll put the link below. You can click it and get access to it. I have the free version. Then if you want to go deeper, we have shared now websites and strategies and what you can talk to me on that link. There's a where you can get informed and contact me. But I'm really trying to pioneer this. It hasn't been done much. I've not seen many Kenyans at the moment talking about it. They are there, especially I've taught a lot of people. I have around 500 plus people in my community. I've done webinars where people have come in, so people already know about it. But we are trying to be the forefront of people who have that niche in understanding and helping other people become good at it, and maybe in the long term create a platform for them locally.
Nice. Okay, so I think, guys, you've heard. I always learn a thing or two about Polymarkets from him. I've not taken a serious interest in it yet. I have, but I've not started actualizing on it. So I'm also interested in understanding it more, but I have an understanding of it. However, I wanted you guys to also hear, because it's very interesting, especially for someone who's been trading. It's a very interesting world. You'll get to see how the skills that you've gathered are so transferable, and how the market still has some fundamental legs that never change. It's still a market. People will still be wrong, people will still be right, money will be made, money will be lost, risk will always be important. So those things that you've learned also are easily transferred to other places. And I think it's not a must for someone, by the way, to find success even in these other markets. You might find your edge is actually easy in this other side. So if you are interested, you can look at it. But as usual, it's important for you to learn more about it and gather up information before you even start. Like for me, the main reason why I've not jumped onto it yet is because I believe I'm not as informed as I should be about making decisions on it. However, if you're willing to do what he's done, you can hope on. There's still opportunities. Don't stay at home saying you don't have a job, you don't have anything to do. Well, there are all these things that you can at least put your intellectual horsepower behind. and try to figure out, because by the end of the day, you're trying to use your mind to figure out something that will probably put for you food at the table. And these are some of the opportunities that do exist for people to somehow look at them.
And the last thing, a funny thing is, not that I'm advocating for you to start with small money, but you can actually start this side with small money.
As little as $20, $30.
I remember there's a trade that I turned $2.5 into $85. I turned 300 Kenya shillings to 10,000 Kenya shillings.
You've heard it, guys. I don't need to say it anymore.
3,000% return. And I have this, go to my course below and you'll get that video where it's public, where I shared that trade. I showcased what it was. It was a market was speculating Microsoft to become the number one company by the end of April. It did not. It just moved from like 1% to 30%.
You made that much.
And you've already made 30x or even much more. I think I might bought it even much lower than that. Yeah, and I turned so over here. The bigger the money you have, the better. And there are reasons why, because you'll have more access to more markets. But it doesn't necessarily mean you need to start with that. You can start with as little. Let me go as little as $50. Let's know 20 now. I'm not trying to sell a dream where you turn $20 into 20,000. But there are articles I was showing Ken earlier on today. It has very consistent traders who turned $5,000 to $100,000 in 9 months alone, because they found a niche that works well for them. So we'll come back in future when I've turned some money into something.
We'll do that,
and we'll showcase everything publicly and just show you how it works now fully.
Sawa. So I think, guys, you've heard it from the man himself. You can check out the resources he's shared, and more will be shared with you guys as he keeps navigating this market. So with that said, peace. We'll catch you in the next one.